Hi guys, Harbs here. Today we're going to be taking a look at two locations along the Chiontar River, Moonrise Towers and Anga Vled. I'll be providing some background lore on Moonrise Towers as it wasn't created by Larian and has existed in Forgotten Realms lore for decades. Anga Vled, on the other hand, could be an interesting place that we get to visit in-game, and it may provide some explanation to the fast travel points that we can find in the area. So in the second part of the video there will be some heavy theory crafting. Thank you to my new patron, Robert Pickard. I really appreciate the support. If any of you would like to follow me on Twitter, join the Patreon, or join the Discord, then the links are all down below. Okay, let's go. So I believe we can see Moonrise Towers here on the opening menu screen. Nia mentions that the general resides there, and Halsin surmises that it contains the leaders of the Absolute. However, Moonrise Towers is not a location created by Larian Studios, and in Forgotten Realms lore we can first come across it in 1993's The Code of the Harpers, written by Ed Greenwood. This book is set around 1367 DR, which is 1 year before the realm date in Baldur's Gate 1 and 125 years before the events of Baldur's Gate 3. Moonrise Towers is described as a fortified compound west of Elturel on the banks of the River Chiontar, and it was occupied by an office of the High Heralds. The High Heralds were originally the idea of a harper called Aliost Osgranar. They are responsible for keeping accurate records of all the factions and kingdoms in the land, including genealogies and histories of the realms. Although many of the High Heralds were harpers, they kept themselves strictly neutral. The area covered was vast, from the northern border of Kalimshan westward to all the known islands in the Sea of Swords, north as far as the known world went, and eastward to the Sea of Fallen Stars. Their funding came from many of the rulers of these lands, who deemed them a necessity to mitigate the risk of mistaken identity in battle as well as disputes over land ownership. The Crescent Coat office was based at Moonrise Towers, which apparently was an office always held by a woman. The Crescent Coat office is described as often playing devil's advocate in herald debates, which suits its chief responsibility of exploring every angle of all matters brought before the High Heralds for debate. They are also tasked with training local heralds. The Crescent Coat tabard is covered with interlocked crescent moons worked in cloth of silver. It has the same magical powers as a ring of shooting stars. In 1367, the person in charge of the office was called Narinthria Thaludin, who resided in Moonrise Towers itself. So with Moonrise Towers links to the Harpers, it's no surprise then that when we find this secret stash here, that there is a letter with the following written. This stained, ragged map has passed through countless hands. A little harp marks an area called Moonrise Towers, with a small inky crescent sketched in the nearby forest. Below the crescent is a more recent scroll, Cache. One reason I could imagine for the Absolute occupying Moonrise Towers is not only its fortified location, but for the potential knowledge that resides within. Given how the High Heralds are so involved with the politics of the realms and have records on all the ruling class, it could potentially be how they have infiltrated so much. Anga Vled is situated here, extremely close to where we start off in Early Access, and it's a gnomish village described in Dragon Magazine number 269 from the perspective of Volo as follows. This farming village stands on the north bank of the River Chiontar, a day's ride west of Elturel. It's surrounded by earthen ring forts to enable the gnomes to gather in safety when trolls, bugbears, human outlaws, goblinkin and marauding monsters become a problem. Anga Vled's farmers produce many parsnips, carrots, marrows, radishes, asparagus, spiced vegetable bread, and parsnip wine of surpassing potency. It also boasts 2 good horse doctors who can shoe and train horses, and usually have some healed mounts to sell or trade to passing adventurers. The most famous citizen of Anga Vled is the sharp-tongued but good-natured Gudelmar Wheelwright, who makes and repairs wagons. His superb skills have been the salvation of many a caravan merchant. Sounds like a pleasant village, and given their proximity to all the happenings around the cult of the Absolute, I'm sure they would have been affected somewhat. However, in my research I found something interesting that might be able to explain these portals. In part 6 of Mintapa's chapbook, written by Eric Boyd in 2001, we can see reference to the Trails of Mist, described as follows. The Trail of Mists is a little known means of magical travel, akin to a Ceres gate, and believed to date back to the height of Netheril and Erlan. Created by gnome illusionists working in concert with Erlani high mages, the Trail of Mists served originally as a means of magical transport, by which gnomes who had escaped enslavement by the Netherese could move about the northern and eastern high forest without fear of being recaptured. Now, it's a bit of a long shot, but it would give a nice explanation to the fast travel, which I know doesn't necessarily need an explanation as a game mechanic. Most gnomes who escaped enslavement by the Netherese made their way to southern lands, far beyond Netheril's sphere of influence. Travel through the north was facilitated by the Trail of Mists, which in those days extended as far south as the waterway, now known as the River Chiontar, and as far east as the mountain range now known as the Stormhorns. Gnome settlements that encompass or lie near a nexus point of the Trail of Mists include Anga Vled, west of Elturel. The Trail of Mists are all linked to a place called the Citadel of Mists in the High Forest, which is home to the Mist Master. The Citadel of Mists is described in the Silver Marches from 2002 as a triangle of 3 slim towers joined by enclosing walls. And we can see triangles at the peak of the portal symbol, but I could just be reaching there. I mean, there are also 3 triangles on Gale's robe. If this theory does turn out to be true, then it will be nice to go to Anga Vled and get more information on it, and if not, well, I suppose we can just go to try some of this parsnip wine they keep boasting about. Anyway, thanks for watching guys. If you enjoyed this video, then do please give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!